Welcome everyone to Bryn Mawr Foundation School's transition arrangements. My name is Mr. McNamara, I'm head teacher of the school, and with me is Mrs. Lake, our deputy head teacher. The point of today's meeting is just to give you more information regarding your child starting with us in September. Your child has had many meetings, virtual meetings, with members of staff from our school in their primaries over the last few weeks. And now this is our opportunity to speak with you. Your children feel very confident regarding coming to school in September, and we want you to feel the same way. If you have any questions at the end of this, please email the school and we'll get back to you and we'll try and resolve any of those issues or questions that you have. When a new child is starting in school, I always stress to parents how important relationships are, and that's the relationships between us and you as parents. It's very important that we get the very, very best out of your child. We both want the same things. We want your child to come to school. We want them to develop into a young adult. We want their well-being to be really good, but also we want them to develop academically as well. And that's ingrained in our motto, which is aspiration, application and achievement. And what that means for us is we want aspiration for your child. We want them to dream big. We want them to have plans for post-school here at Bryn Mawr Foundation School. And then to get there, we apply those skills. We work with our teachers very, very hard to make sure that we give opportunities for your child to stretch themselves and then ultimately to achieve very, very well. And we will give your child the opportunity to succeed here at Bryn Mawr Foundation School and give them lots of opportunities and open lots of doors for post-16 decisions when it comes to that time. So I'm going to hand you over to Mrs. Lake, who's going to go through some of our transition arrangements.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, so our transition process this year. So although this year has been more difficult for us to arrange visits to our school, we have really tried to ensure that pupils have been provided with the opportunity to meet some of their teachers and to get a real feel for the school. And some of the transition experiences have included meeting teachers virtually through lessons, and also we've had recorded lessons that have been shared with your children in their primary schools. A number of the primary schools as well were involved in our recent literary festival, and they were able to participate in some of the exciting activities which took place during that week. As a school, we've also been meeting the primary schools, looking at how we can work increasingly closer together, making sure that we have more consistency driving forward from the primary schools to Bryn Mawr Foundation School. And ultimately, we want the same thing. In line with the new curriculum, we want to make sure that all of our pupils, all of your children, are able to become ambitious and capable learners and are prepared for the future. So, through this transition process, then, we've included a number of things that are listed now on the screen in front of you. And also as well, leading on from this, communication. So communication is hugely important for us as a school. We make sure, as Mr. McNamara said a moment ago, that we really try and forge positive and strong relationships with yourselves as parents throughout this time. Now, first of all, our communication begins with yourself with the homeschool agreement, which I believe that all of you now have received and the majority of you have signed. So if you haven't signed that homeschool agreement yet, please do so. If you haven't received it, please contact the school, because on this homeschool agreement, it outlines our expectations for every stakeholder, which includes ourselves, it includes your children, and includes us as well, sorry. So also as well, well-being. Wellbeing is hugely important for us as a school, and we're very fortunate we have a wellbeing manager in our school, Miss Kopic, and she is there on hand to see your children, to help them with any issues, any problems they may have in their time in Bryn Mawr Foundation School. One of the tools we use to try and help us support this process is Class Charts. Now, Class Charts is an app. And it's a tool that we use in school to monitor attendance, to monitor behaviour achievement, but also to monitor well-being as well. And although I know it's quite hard to see on this slide, you have the opportunity with the Wellbeing app on ClassCharts to indicate how your child is feeling each day if you want to. And it's also something your child can do as well. So if they're feeling a little bit low one day, they can put it in as an unhappy sort of unhappy face. And then that will indicate to Ms. Copit that she might need to speak to your child and to see if they're okay. So it's quite an easy way for people and pupils and yourself to express how we're feeling if they want a little bit of help without having to ask the teacher directly if they don't feel as confident. Also with ClassCharts, then you'll see some information now on the screen about how you can access this online system. It is very successful. It works really, really well. And one thing I think it does well for parents is it makes sure that you can keep track of pupils when they're in school, of your children, sorry, when they're in school. So if, for example, you want to see how they're getting on in subjects, if you want to access their timetable, you can do that really, really easily. Another aspect of this system, which is starting now from September, is a two-way communication system, which means that we're able to contact you and you're able to contact us then directly, again, if you have any concerns or issues with your child at school. And you can see at the bottom of the slide now, there's an email address for Miss Davis, and she is the person you need to contact if you want any more information about ClassCharts, or if you're having any difficulty maybe in accessing the system as well. Another way that we communicate with parents is through our Parent Carer Bulletin, and this is sent out electronically to all parents every week. Now, we started this some time ago now, and it was a really good tool for us, especially during lockdown, to make sure that we were keeping in touch with parents and pupils. And it includes a variety of things to hopefully keep you informed about how we're doing in school. And here are some of the things now that we include in the Parent Bulletin. During lockdown, it was really successful that we could share a lot of the work, a lot of the home learning that your children were doing. And also one thing that we do every week is we share Learner of the Week awards to make sure, again, that we're celebrating the achievements of your children. Classroom expectations. So just listed here are the expectations that we have for your children when they're in school with us. And ultimately what we want is to make sure that pupils are able to learn successfully in school. And these are some of the key things now to make sure that we can make sure that everybody is working hard and is focused and is doing the very best they can. I think you'll agree that our expectations are quite simple, are quite clear, and what we want to make sure then that these are understood thoroughly by the children. And when your children start with us in September, these will be discussed with your children by their form teachers and by their head of year. And if they're not sure about anything, then obviously we can explain things a little bit more clearly to them then. Attitudes to learning are obviously also really important and fall in line with our classroom expectations and our whole school expectations. And ultimately, we expect everybody to be respectful, to treat each other well, to make sure that pupils are behaving as well as they can. Mobile phones. So mobile phones are allowed in school, and we allow children to go on their mobile phones prior to 8:30, which is the start of the school day, and also at break and lunchtime in designated areas as well. Mobile phones are sometimes used in class, but this is only at the direction of the classroom teacher. So they can't be used unless the teacher directs them to do so. Uniform is obviously very important. We take pride in how we look, and I must say that the pupils look very smart in school with their blazers and the uniform that they have to represent the school. If I just show you now, so this is just an outline of the uniform that the pupils are expected to wear. So you can see here, one of the things we don't allow are things like jeans and leggings, but obviously making sure now that pupils have their white shirts, their blazers at all times. If they are colder in the winter months, then they can wear a black jumper as well under their blazers if they choose to. Here's an image now of some of our pupils looking very smart in their uniform. And also the uniform for PE, you can see that's listed here as well for you. Again, if you have any questions about uniform, please don't hesitate to contact us at school. And here's some images now of our pupils, again looking very smart in their PE kits. Also, as well, just leading on from uniform, we do allow pupils to wear one stud earring in their ear. However, we don't allow any other piercings. So just for you to be aware of that. And if pupils are seen with other piercings, we will request for them to remove them. I'm now going to hand back over to Mr. McNamara, who's going to talk to you about school transport. Thank you, sir.
Thanks very much, Mrs. Lake. Some very important information there. Transport, you would have received a letter by now if you're entitled to local authority transport. And just a reminder of their policy, it's that you live more than 2 miles of the safest walking route to school, and that we are your nearest suitable school. And that's the criteria for accessing that local authority transport. You'll also be receiving a letter this week, if you are eligible for transport, about the new pickup times for that timetable. So expect that to come through this week. Now, I must remind you of, if you have an older child in the school, they may have access to previous arrangements of transport. And that was arranged quite a few years ago by the school. And some of our older pupils are still on that old scheme. So you might find that if you have an older child, that they may have access to certain transport and your new child won't. And we're sorry about that inconvenience, but it was just a change of policy. The school now follows the local authorities policy, and we're in line with them. So just be aware of that. And the school has contacted anyone who that has been affected. Catering is obviously one of our biggest questions when we talk to pupils about what are their views about coming up to school, or their worries. We have access to breakfast in the morning. Your child can to buy breakfast on site. We also have all the information for free school meals from the primary school, so that will be automatically carried forward. So you don't need to worry about that, or you don't need to contact us, because we'll just carry that through. And the pupils obviously will access their food as normal. We are working through strange times. We are preparing for September to have more normality within school. So at the moment, we're saying that we will be serving hot foods, a breakfast, break and lunch. But of course, we'll contact you if the guidance from Welsh Government changes before that. Contact with school is really important. Mrs. Lake, can you put forward on the slides, please? Oh, there we are. Here we have the form tutor is a very, very important person within within school, and this is going to be your first point of contact, where your child, if they need to ask anything, or if you want to ask anything about school, the form tutor will be able to solve those issues. The form tutor is the person who takes the registration of your child every morning, and they'll have a really good relationship with your child. They really get to understand. They'll continue with them right throughout the school as well until they're in year 11. So over that time, they really build a strong bond between each other. So please, that's your first point to call. Miss Williams is the head of year 7 next year. She's already had some meetings with the pupils, virtual meetings with the pupils. Mr. Edwards is our assistant head teacher in charge of wellbeing and inclusion. And also, as Mrs. Lake mentioned earlier, Mrs. Kopek is our wellbeing manager, and she'll be accessing the wellbeing app, and any issues with the children there she'll pick up. So they're really the key people that you need to be aware of. Okay, there was lots of information. Again, if you have any questions, please contact the school and we'll get back to you. We're starting school on Friday, the 3rd of September, and that day will only be year 7s in school. The rest of our learners will be doing online activities, and the whole school will start then on Monday, the 6th of September. We're really looking forward to working together and having your child here with us at Bryn Mawr Foundation School. We all want the same thing. We want your child to be happy, for their well-being to develop, and for them to achieve academically. Thank you very much for listening.